Hi folks, Dustin Furlow here. Thanks for stopping by for the second installment of My Favorite Luthiers. This is a little series I'm doing for the boutique acoustic guitar enthusiasts on the channel, and just for good fun, I'll be sharing some experiences from playing guitars from my favorite builders around the world. I'll share what I think makes them a special luthier and what makes them unique. I'll maybe share some sound clips of some of their finer examples that I maybe have either custom ordered for myself, borrowed from a fellow musician, or had sent to me from the luthier themselves. So good fun. This will be Rebecca Urlacher, who we're talking about on this episode. So Rebecca is from Bend, Oregon, which is nestled in the Pacific Northwest of the United States of America. Probably my favorite part of the country, so a bit jealous there. But she's, as of this video, she's been building for 20 years. And before guitar making, she was a fine arts major at the University of Oregon, and she even did golf professionally during that time. So I think once she started building, I don't know after how many years it was, but she also took a top voicing course with Irvin Samaji, one of the last that was available at the time. So with all the aforementioned things, you would be correct in assuming that she's very, very precisely detailed with her work, and there's a lot of, really acute detail to everything that she does. And I think that was one of the biggest things that I noticed when I actually felt the guitar in my hand, like the fretwork and the playability. It just felt very finely tuned. So that was something I was really impressed with. She's not somebody that's really in a hurry to rush her guitars out the door for the sake of starting the next one. And I know this because actually we were texting the other day. It was her 50th birthday, and I was just saying happy birthday, and she's like, "Oh, it's so funny, I'm also starting my 50th guitar." And I'm like, how crazy is that? It's just, 50 guitars in 20 years really means that you put your whole heart, your whole soul into each guitar, and I think that's just lovely. I really like that philosophy. So many of my first exposures to a new builder and their work happens when I'm working at Cedar Studio Guitar Gallery in Indiana, or at a guitar show, or it's just my own curiosity. I'll see a guitar or hear a sound clip online, and it might happen to be for sale, and I shouldn't buy it, but I do. In the case of Rebecca, I actually first became exposed to her work through the 2018 Woodstock Invitational Luthiers Showcase, which is every October in the Catskill Mountains of New York. And I actually didn't meet her there, but I walked by her booth several times, took a gander at the guitars, and thought, like, oh my God, these are beautiful, really precisely detailed guitars, and this finish was lovely. I mean, I just walked by and kind of drooled for a bit, but then either Rebecca wasn't at the booth because she was showing a guitar to somebody, or she was actually there talking to a luthier and I didn't want to interrupt. So all that said, we finally did get to meet last October or September, whichever one, last fall at the BIG Acoustic Guitar Showcase in New Braunfels, Texas. And she actually delivered this guitar to my beloved Karlijn, and I got to finally meet her there. And she's just a very lovely human, very kind, very laid back, really chill. And of course, before that, I did have my own build that we worked out together. It was a Cedar Rosewood sort of sibling to this guitar, Cedar Rosewood OM Cutaway. And sort of the funny story there was that I hadn't actually played one of her guitars, but I think it was maybe Facebook or the Acoustic Guitar Forum, and I saw this design of a rosette, and I thought, man, I've never seen anything like that. It looks really beautiful. Rebecca really lets the beauty of the materials, like the woods, they kind of marshal the aesthetics of her guitars, and I think that's really cool. She sort of lets the beauty of the wood itself do the job, and it did the job on me for sure, because I was like, so I just, messaged her. I'm like, hey, so is this spoken for? Has there been a neck made for this? So I was really interested in trying out her guitar, finally, and she had said that it was going to be a cutaway, her first cutaway. So I was like, okay, yeah, I think now's the time. Like, I'm going to order a build from her. So I did, and it turned out to be absolutely lovely. There's a bunch of sound clips available. I'll put some little tags up here or there, and also in the caption below for the YouTube video. So I've played about 7 of her guitars now. And they've all got a very consistent quality to them that's like almost orchestral. And I've said that about some other guitars as well, and you know, I think the best guitars are the ones that feel very like full, like very complete. Like there's not, when you're playing them, you don't feel like there's anything missing, no matter if you're in first position, middle, up here. You know, everything just feels kind of tied together and complete. And that's definitely a signature thing with her guitars. Out of the 7 I've played, you know, I've played Mod D, I've played 2 Parlors, a couple of these concert cutaways. Actually, not a couple. I think I've played like 4 now. Yeah, Redwood Indian, Guatemalan and German. This German Camatillo build that was built for Karlijn, and my own Cedar Indian one. So yeah, that's about 7 guitars, and they've all got this very like similar, like you're not afraid to go somewhere sort of feeling with them, which I like a lot, obviously. You know, if I had to describe her guitar's sound, their tonal signature, to somebody that had played a lot of good guitars in the boutique acoustic guitar world, I think the easiest way to describe it would be like if a Samaji style OM had like a love child with a Martin OM 28 or something like that. There's a familiarity in the upper region. You're just hearing this through the lapel, but there's a familiarity to that upper end treble there that's just very sort of like, it's got, you know, there's balls to it, which I like a lot. But then in your bass, in your low mid, you've got a lot of bridge activation, and you've got a lot of top movement, and that's something that I think comes from the voicing course with Irvin Samaji, or I'm sure that heavily influenced it, no doubt. You know, you've got this sort of woody fundamental tone, even on a Cedar or Redwood guitar. And then on top of that, you've got an intimacy and a sustain to the trebles and the upper mids. So you've kind of got this like complete package, even in a Parlor or a 15-inch guitar like this. And like I said, her Mod Ds are very approachable for a light touch as well. I think that she really builds with the modern fingerstyle player in mind, which obviously would be a reason why I enjoy her guitars. But yeah, I think that's probably the best way to put it, is that it's sort of a crossroad in between modern and traditional, and I think she would probably agree with that. If not, then sorry, Rebecca. But you know, I think that's probably a pretty good way of putting it if I had to describe it to somebody else who had never played her guitars. So I think that's probably enough from me. I wanted to have a guest for this episode, the owner of this guitar. So we're going to play a little sound clip from Karlijn playing this fine instrument, and then we'll sort of hear her thoughts on what she wanted for this guitar and what she thinks makes Rebecca's guitars unique and a good fit for her as also another fingerstyle player. So hope you enjoy.
Hi everyone, so I am Karlijn Langendijk from the Netherlands, and we are here at my home in Holland. It's very stormy here, so I hope you don't hear it on our microphones. But yeah, I'm very glad to be part of this video.
Yeah, it's nice to have you. Obviously the sound clip was quite a joy to put together. So I was just curious, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners are curious. You know, you have a background playing mostly like nylon stringed, like really contemporary, some people might call it like neoclassical. So what is it that you really like in it? What do you, in general, not just with Urlacher guitars, but what do you like in a steel string guitar? What do you think is important for your level of performance?
Yeah, well, the main thing I would say immediately is the melody, because actually I came from steel string when I started playing, and then I transitioned into nylon string, and that's when I really found the meaning of a good melody and how it should stand out in music, or at least in the music that I write. And so, when I started the nylon chapter, I found always that whenever I played steel string guitars, there was not really a melody that would stand out. So when I played your Cedar Urlacher for the first time, I was like, whoa, this guitar actually makes my melody stand out just as much as my nylon string.
Yeah.
So I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. So basically having your treble and your upper mid range like sort of really cut through against all the other frequencies, not having like a boomy or a
exactly.
Boxy tone. It's more of something that kind of feels almost, or like I had said earlier, sort of orchestral. I feel like her guitars really have that quality.
Yeah, but also I think how certain guitars, they're just very lightly set up. So when you play the high E string, it just snaps really quickly.
Yep.
That was actually also the reason why I decided to go for the spruce and not for cedar.
Yeah.
Even
Cedar,
though I really loved the way the cedar has like this natural reverb.
Yeah, the overtones,
that was like so beautiful, and I'm still jealous of that whenever
right,
you play yours.
It's just a different flavor, right?
Yeah, but with mine, I just feel like I really need that extra bit to be able to dig into the melody on the high E string, because I use it so much in my songs.
Yeah, definitely different flavors, because I'm wishing that I had this at home, more often, because it has that sort of plunk, like that. You feel the bridge really activate, whereas with cedar, it's like, it's really immediate, so a light touch can get 100% of the detail and the volume, like for your tune Winter, and you barely have to, like, you could breathe on it and you get a response.
Yeah, but with the harmonics.
Yeah, it's like so quick,
so
it's so fast. Yeah, like cedar really has those lightning fast harmonics. But then with spruce, you have more horsepower, like you can really let your dynamics stand out. If you've been playing a tune that's sort of like lower dynamics, and then when you need a certain section to really cut through and like move the audience and draw people back in, I think most of the time spruce is superior for that. So again, it's different. I would want this one for, certain tunes, and cedar for other tunes. So it's just interesting to me. But I think that's something cool that Rebecca does, at least on, because we've played at BIG, we played one that had Sitka, one that had Adirondack, one that had, yours is German spruce, mine's cedar. So we've played almost all the flavors, it seems like. I've played a Redwood one, which was sort of an in-between of the cedar and the spruce. But I think despite whatever wood choices there are, I feel like she still gets that treble that really just like sits above, and so it has like that extra sustain and like reverb to it that just kind of sets it apart for the fingerstyle stuff. So for your build, what do you think was something that was really important when you were working with Rebecca? Because I think some viewers might want to know, for somebody that does really difficult pieces, that what do you think are certain specs or qualities? What's something that you asked her for specifically to help you make sure you get those things really clean and really
so I actually tried to get this pretty close to my nylon string, but of course it shouldn't be as wide as my nylon string, but I just, with the very thin nut and the very thin bridge slots, it's too different from my nylon, so I have to change my style all the time. Right. And with this, it's very similar.
It's like a middle ground between like your standard steel string with like 1 3/4, like a maiden or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Which you had before. Like in between the maiden and the cobbler is probably where
like whenever I would play my maiden, for example, I really have to spend some time to transition from nylon to steel.
Absolutely.
And when I play this, it's just, there's no transition time needed. It's very easy to play this after the nylon. And yeah, another very specific thing that I asked Rebecca for was to have just a little bit more space around the high E string.
Yeah.
Because when you play like very difficult chords, it's very easy for the E string to like slip off.
Yeah.
To get that kind of thing. So
you had her have the nut slots a bit more in off the edge, right?
Yeah,
or just,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think even a little bit more on the high E string. But I had that same thing with my nylon, and it's so comfortable. I think Pierre Ben Susan also.
Yeah, I was just going to say he also does that
that
for his Loudon model, the F35 or whatever. I like it a lot because when I demoed one at Cedar Rock, it was like, it felt just like it was, you know, you could not mess up. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It was so forgiving, you could really relax your left hand having it,
you
know, a bit more edge of the fingerboard. So there's just probably things that you think of when you're doing really like difficult passes on weird chords and want the melody to not screw up.
Yeah, the only thing is that now whenever I play a guitar that does not have that, I really have to focus to not, you know, but it depends how difficult songs you're playing, because, you know, with just the normal chords, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
But if you know, sometimes have to do like these kind of chords.
I feel like it's when the melody's on a pinky fretted note, that's when you have to be like extra careful to not have it slip off. Yeah. Like that's been my experience at least.
For me it's the ring finger that sometimes it just goes like it just sort of pops.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And another thing that I actually didn't realize that she was gonna do, or I just never thought about it because I never owned a guitar that has that. Actually, two things, which is
soundboard.
The soundboard. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I just never realized before this guitar how nice it is to be able to hear yourself. While playing. Yeah. You know, sometimes.
Oh, wait till you plug it in on stage, because then it's really great. Because then you don't have to have as much monitor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's not like less feedback.
Yeah, I would like sometimes with other guitars, I would play in front of a window, or in front of a wall, so it would like reflect the sound a bit. Yeah. But this is perfect. And then another thing is this micro, was it a micro bevel or mini bevel?
Yeah. She rounds the edge. It's barely detectable if you look at it.
Like you cannot really look at it close. See it.
Yeah. It's gorgeous though, especially with that ebony.
Yeah, it's like so comfortable for your arm, because normally I always would get this red.
Yeah, we all know that. Yeah.
And this is just so comfy, but it doesn't change anything about the way the guitar looks.
Yeah.
So
she probably doesn't have to do like an extra like bevel cap either, which would add weight.
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance, like my Beneteau has that big Ryan style bevel, and he actually has to put a piece of wood on the inside, which weighs it down. You know, so that doesn't matter for most people. For some people, they want the guitar light as possible. So yeah, it's a pretty cool, classy looking design. But what about the woods? So what was your reasoning behind the wood selection? I know what they are, but maybe for everybody.
So this is German spruce and Camatillo, or sometimes called Mexican kingwood. Yeah. So my reason was actually that I just loved the way it looks. Yeah.
And there's no shame in that. Yeah.
And also, of course, like I talked with Rebecca, like how do you think this is going to sound, and do you think this would be good for you know, quite fast pieces, but also ballads, and but you know, she just sent me some photos of the sets that she had available, and I just really love the way these like, how would you call it, like alive or contrasting. Yeah. You know, I like normal Indian rosewood as well. Right. But I would always go for something that's a little more unique.
Yeah, it's definitely very unique wood. I'd never even. You can't really tell in this lighting, but it has almost like a purplish.
Yeah, like
a
plum
pink
kind of.
Like a plum. Yeah, it's got like a very unique.
Yeah.
The streaks in the middle are very interesting. I'm going to enlarge some photos, of course. We had like a little ray of sunlight coming in here the other day, and it was just beautiful. I had to take some photos, but yeah. So the German spruce has like this very singing, almost like a cedar response to it.
Yeah.
but then it can also still handle like more stoutness because the spruce
Yeah.
is a lot more dense.
Yeah.
And then the Camatillo, I remember when I was talking to Rebecca, she had said that its tonally and density-wise, its hardness is very similar to Amazon rosewood, which is very similar to Brazilian rosewood. You know, there's always people that are like, oh, it's similar to Brazilian rosewood. But I think she was very honest about it because from what I've heard compared to many German Brazilian OMs is that it really does have that full spectrum, like it's not just dark or bright. It's like very full in the mids too, which like I feel like Brazilian doesn't have that typical mid scoop that a lot of rosewoods will have. So I feel like that mixed with the German, which has that sort of like mid-range like clarity, it's such a perfect match for your playing, I feel like. And especially with the ballads, because you can milk a melody so well, like the overtones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I just never really played a steel string guitar that can handle my pieces. And I know it sounds maybe stupid, but on nylon you have so much dynamic range, and you have, you know, it's very wide, and it can sound warm, but it can also sound like a bit sharp if you go more in this direction.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I feel like this was the first guitar that I played where I was like, whoa, here my songs can actually sound good. And of course there's still a lot to discover because it's such a young guitar still.
Yeah, still quite green.
So I'm still, you know, playing it and composing new stuff.
Yeah, I see that you also got the extra fret markers, which I had done on mine too. I wish more luthiers did that. They'll stop it abruptly at like the 15th. I'm like, what? 17, 19?
We also play here.
Yeah, like,
yeah,
but yeah, it's really cool. So, and I think you had also gotten the 25-inch scale, which I also got. I think for the OM, there's a lot of warmth and fundamental that can come back from that. So on the more resonant tonewood combos, I feel like that's very helpful because it lets the sort of get that voice back and not so much of that steely, you know, ethereal overtone heavy. I mean, there's a purpose for every spec, you know, but I think for players that want all the notes to come out very clearly and not be sort of shrouded in the overtones, it's good to have the extra fundamental when you can have it. So, yeah.
Nice. I'm learning a lot from you.
Yeah. But, yeah, so you got ebony binding on it, and then, did she do a backstrip on yours, or? Oh, yeah. So
no.
she had done like that floating backstrip on my Cedar one. I'll put some photos up of that too. I thought that was like a really interesting touch that she did.
This is really nice, so just a little...
Yeah, ebony and maple end graft there.
Yeah.
And she also, I remember she had said that there was a Honduran rosewood piece just for this bottom section of the rosette because it had a nice curve to it. And then the rest was the Camatillo and the maple.
And same here.
I think actually this is my favorite headstock she's done, more than mine.
Yay.
Yeah. But yeah, this is just a wonderfully elegant guitar. So I'm going to do another sound clip to end off the video. I appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Karlijn just put out a new album called Atlas, and four of the tunes, right, have this guitar?
Two, I think, or three.
Or you had 4 steel strings.
You should just listen to it and find out.
Yeah. So it was a pleasure to have you on the show, or
Thank you.
on the this episode.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so our next episode of My Favorite Luthiers will have Mark Beneteau, or maybe somebody else. I've got a really exciting build with him coming up. So really looking forward to sharing that with y'all. And till next time, we'll see you. And thanks again for tuning in. Feel welcome to start a conversation down in the comments, and subscribe to the YouTube channel if this sort of thing is of interest to you. And have a good day. Stay well, and we'll see you next time.